Hi, hope everyone's doing good. We Ask the Bus special. I think there was a game on the night. Don't know if any of you watched it. I was trying to get a good stream for it, man. I ended up watching it on Rangers TV. It was that stream. Made it all the better. How are we all doing? Welcome aboard the bus. I thought there'd be a few folk in the night. I thought there might be a few folk in the night. Look at this. I mean, look at the slabbering cabbage. Look, the slabbering cabbage just says, yes, as do I. What does it all mean? I'll be a step closer to the title. It's 2 drop points again for them. I think it was the 3 points that they pretty much had assured themselves were in the bag already. Their game in hand. It's always, I think Phil McGinley tweeted it, it's always the old saying, the points on the board are always more important. But yeah, we could discuss it all tonight, I'm sure. There'll be a few useless comments are flying in. Hello, Ryan. What's happening? Gary Brown. Hello to you. All that good stuff. Gives a like, gives a share, slag my hair. I had a feeling they might drop points tonight, you know. I had a feeling they might drop points again. I think I've kind of said it on the bus. I thought they would drop points at Dens Park. Big Nostradamus face. But it was one of those nights where they did drop points. I speculated about it on Twitter. One of that lot's supporters quote tweeted it just with, "What a virgin." That's what he quoted saying to me. Strange first thought to have when we're talking about the football. But hey, I tell you what, they'll do anything to deflect from the fact that, you know, their team might be the focus of the conversation, because when it comes down to it, they just don't have the bottle. There's a lot of their players that are regulars of this sort of, not collapse, it's not a collapse just yet, but this sort of crumbling that's going on, and you can undeniably say they are choking under the pressure. I think that's 2 wins from the last 8 in all competitions. Take away Benfica, I stand by it. I think their best result in the last 8 games is scraping a draw with us. I still think that's the truth. They're probably aware of that themselves. It's certainly the result they've celebrated the most. I'm a bad loser in life. I am a worse winner. I feel like a smug little bastard tonight. I really do. Celtic just need to get the job done now. They do have that 3-point gap. San Fran Celtic, $20, mate. Listen, I don't know if my local carry-out shop accepts dollars, mate, but I will do my very best to try and get myself a bigger bottle of Peroni with those $20. Thank you so much, mate. That's really kind. Of course, it's not about the bus tonight. It is about the league title and where it lands. And I think we got another insight into where they're at now. Bear in mind, they've got five games to go. They've got another 3 of those away from home. I don't know how many of you actually watched the game. As I say, I had the benefit of watching it on the old Rangers TV stream, and it was fun. They're not a good side, really. When I watched them, like I actually thought first half at times Dundee got the ball down on what's meant to be, you know, a cabbage patch of a pitch. Not the slabbering cabbage in the chat, but I thought the way they knocked it about was almost as convincing, if not more convincing, than what we did at Ibrox. I thought, wait a minute now, I was giving us loads of pats on the back for how we were, that first half display at Ibrox, and I look at it and go, anyone can do it against them. Dundee, I don't know if you did watch Luke McCowan that played the midfield for Dundee. I thought was absolutely fantastic. And John, who comes in the chat, he's absolutely spot on. It was a nice moral 0-0 win for the Bear Cubs tonight. Then it was a moral victory. It was a moral victory when they drew 3-3 with us. I'm sure there'll be some sort of moral victory. I don't know if don't want to be too harsh. There's James D says, "Come on, Bhoycie. As much as we love the Celtic, it's not won yet." I don't think I said it was. I don't think I said we had. I think we can just take it the here and now, mate. The here and now, though, is we go 3 points clear with 3 of our next 5 games at home, including a derby. The derbies we've not lost 1 yet, so I think there's a right to be a wee bit confident now. And I just don't see any way they win, famous last words, that they win 5 of the next 5 anyway. I really don't see that. And by the way, they might. They might. But it's very unlikely. I don't see it. And I think with Celtic's point of view, I think they've got the bit between their teeth a bit as well. And this is where Celtic come alive, as Rodgers described it at the weekend. And since then, they've dropped points in the next 2 games. It will be interesting. Obviously, we've now got the gap in the Scottish Cup, the gap in the league fixtures with the Scottish Cup. And that just gives them time, even more time. I think Jonathan and Phil will talk about it Monday. More time to stew over the fact they may have blown a league they thought they were in the driving seat in only a couple of weeks ago. Stephen Kennedy comes in. He says he felt sorry for Chris Boyd tonight. Chris Boyd coining a term, thinking he's been funny. Bit of self-deprecation for Boyd the night. He said Rangers have 99 problems, but Dundee's pitch ain't one. Oh man, it's been a while since I've had this sort of feeling watching. It's the hope that kills you, It will be. It is. I mean, it's just one of those situations right now we're in where obviously we need to take care of business, and the gloating and all that's fun at the time, and I'm having fun right now. But there's nothing won yet. Of course, there's nothing won yet. But we have to be honest. What we've seen for Celtic, despite us still, I think at times being a 1/2 team, 1/2 good, 1/2 bang average team, we're getting the job done. We are getting the job done right now. And when they're not at it, they ain't getting the job done, ladies and gentlemen. That is undeniable. And I think they know it. I think when they're playing, there's a bit of fear. I think there's a bit of panic setting in. A bit of anger for the fans again. I don't know if the Sky cameramen are just having fun now, but they keep zooming in on the angriest of angry bears. Full time the last 2 games, and fucking hell, man. If they don't go up and clap, they'll be told ignorant bastards, right, for fans who've paid loads of money to go up there. When they do go up and try and clap them, they've just got loads of their supporters going, fuck off down the tunnel. Oh, man. Chris M comes in, he says, we cannot be complacent, let's take care of business. I totally agree with that. And I don't think there's an aspect of this Celtic side now that's going to be taking anything for granted at this point in time. We've still got a job to do. So you're right to point that out, Chris. I don't think Celtic will be complacent. I think we need to look at this the other way, right? Let's start being a wee bit positive as well and going, Celtic will be stimulated by the fact that they look like they are on more than just a sugary peg. The manager is talking out his arse left, right and centre. He spoke about moral victories when he drew 3-3 with us. He came out after the game tonight and he felt that Dundee were lucky. And it was a shame because their goalkeeper had such a good game. If that's his takeaways from this, which they aren't, it's just bullshit. I don't know if anyone watched the build up to it. I had it on a Sky stream at that point, and they were saying he was saying he didn't actually know how many away games or something. What was it he said? He said he didn't know how many games or away games they had left or something like that. It was like, this guy, maths, big chimney some face. Maths is clearly not his forte, but I don't know how much confidence that would give me if it was my manager who doesn't seem to know how many points are at stake at the weekend. This time it was about fixtures, I think it was. Someone could correct me in the chat. There was something he didn't know the answer to anyway. He now started talking tonight as well about, but we scored 3 goals against Celtic, so you can't say we don't score goals. What are you talking about, mate? You celebrated scoring 3 goals against Celtic and scraping a draw. Scored none tonight, mate. None. Shut up. Celtic will, I think, now take charge of the territory. They already have took charge of it. I think the performance at Ibrox was massive because they realised that what they thought were foregone conclusions were far from it. And similar traits from similar players of them continue to repeat themselves. And there is, whether they like it, fortunate for us, unfortunate for them, there is a core of their team that you can see time and time again in these positions and choking every single time when it matters. They've had an anomaly season. And that was the COVID season. Now, take nothing away, it was the same for every side. And at the time, we were all extremely critical with Celtic in that period. But because we fell out of that title race so early, they never had the pressure of a title race then, albeit they got a sensational sort of amount of points, goals conceded and things like this. Fair enough. But it is an anomaly that season now. Every other year since they've been back, or for the first ever time, whatever you want to call it, in this league, I think they've cracked under any sort of pressure. I think their own fans put them under pressure. I think they've got players there that just have traits about them, as I'm suggesting. That means when it comes to getting the job done, they struggle. Come hell or high water, Celtic will now, I think, go on and build from good performances of late in spells, very good results of late, and I think they will go on now with 5 games to go with a bit between their teeth and be looking and smelling. I think someone said in the comments, smelling blood. It's amazing how it all can turn around. This has been a weird season. There's so many different reasons why. Celtic's, I don't think, someone could correct me in the chat again, as always, please do. I'm not a stato. I don't think Celtic's had a spell this season where they've had 2 wins from 8. 2 wins from 8. And the negative press Celtic get when they drop points in one game, or you have a negative performance in a game, even if they win, is tenfold what seems to be focused across the city. And a run of form right now that is dire. It's shite. And it's cost them any sort of potential chance, or nearly cost them, of winning their second title in a hell of a long time. And I just wonder if sometimes you look at narratives. We speak about this a lot in the bus, but will they be held to the same scrutiny yet, or will it always be after the event people start reflecting? And it's the media that get carried away whenever Rangers go on any sort of decent run. I think he's about level on points, if not maybe a couple behind now than what Michael Beale was after the same amount of games. It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, is it? But when I look at Celtic's form this season, it's been up and down, undeniably. But you know what? They've done enough to end up looking dead on certs for a higher points tally than they did in Rodgers' second treble season at Celtic. And I think that speaks volumes. It'll be more points this season than Angie's first season, where the rock and roll football was to die for, and it was the best Celtic that we've seen in years and years and years. The Celtic side will finish with more points than that season as well. These are just uncomfortable facts. The chances are Rangers might even finish with more points this season than what they normally do when they finish behind Celtic. So there's a lot to be positive about, and there's a lot of belief we should have that when it comes to this phase, that this is where you separate the men from the boys in the men's game. Just to be politically correct, it's the men's game we're talking about. This is where you separate the men from the boys in a title race, because this is where Brendan Rodgers describes Celtic as coming alive, and this is where Rangers are notorious. To be honest, they've left it later than normal, but usually after the turn of the year, this is where we start to see these sort of results becoming more and more the norm. And if you actually look, as I say, about the form, people want to deflect from it, with an MSM, things like this. But the reality is, when you look at 2 wins from the last 8 in all competitions, that's the sort of form we associate with the Rangers 2, or whatever you want to call them, just normal Rangers, Sevco. I don't particularly care what you call them. Rangers tend to, after the new year, they tend to have runs of form like this. So this shouldn't really be something that overly surprises us. I think the biggest surprise is that they've held on and they've made it look big time like a title race. Now, though, it's interesting. Now it is interesting. David Kelly comes in. David's a legend of the bus. He says, not sure the comparison to that season is a fair one. We dropped 9 points in the first 5 games because they're an entirely new squad, up against Europa League finalists as well, by the way. But David, every season is comparable. And that's what happens. You play 38 games domestically in each season, and you then naturally compare the points tallies. And Celtic will finish with more points than what Ange did in his first season. Of course, there's intricate details in every season that makes each season individual in itself. But I think when you look at a final league table standing, there will always be, David, in my opinion, comparisons that can be drawn, comparisons that can be made, and sometimes unfair criticism, sometimes due criticism on displays this season. But when all is said and done, come the end of this year, Celtic will finish roughly with a points tally we kind of associate with Celtic. That's where we're at. We kind of do this. We'll finish around the normal points tally that we do when we win league titles. So I think on that point of view, we've got to compare, that with the reality of the situation. I would love someone, if they have got the ability, check what Celtic's average point tally is when they've won the league since 2012. I wonder if we'll be above that come the end of this year. I'm going to guess we will. So I think sometimes we need to just take a step back, accept there's been a lot of factors this season that have led Celtic to not being the best version of themselves. A lot of those off-field, but a lot of those on-field in terms of performance levels. A lot of the performance levels have been dictated to by not having instrumental key players. Cameron Carter-Vickers is by far and away our best defender. By far and away the type of player we rarely have the ability to bring into the club. He's been unavailable most of this season. Same with Rio Tati. Kyogo, we're about 20 goals short of what we expect him to be at this point this year. That could be a Rodgers fault as well. But I just don't see, when you've got guys like Callum McGregor have been here, seen it, done it before, this Celtic side getting all carried away with themselves. Do I think it gives you an extra jolt in the arm? Is that the same? Something like that. Does it give you that extra boost, though, when your rivals keep faltering? When the going gets tough, they get going. They don't do walking away, remember? I think that gives you that extra motivation, that extra confidence to go out, do your thing. And as long as Celtic do their thing now between now and the end of the season, and that might include another draw in the derby, if they do their thing in the other games, we will be lifting that league title, and it will be a sweet one if we can. Now, if we look at where Celtic are from that perspective, I think it's very important to feet on the ground, take each game as it comes, all those bullshit cliches. But I think it's remiss as football fans. We're not the players, we're not the manager. We're allowed to have a look over the fence. We're allowed to get caught up in what goes on and what the storyline looks like in Scottish football, out with Celtic and have a bit of fun with it. That's our right as football fans. I'm not going to have any influence on how Celtic perform in the next few weeks. I don't have any say in that or sway in that whatsoever. So I will. I'm going to look at their performances of late, their form of late, the nonsense a manager is spouting of late. Come on. What faith would you have if that was your team, that they're going to go on a 5-game winning run and lift that league title? You wouldn't have any faith if that was a Celtic team. It has been, I think, a real reality check that they've had. I think Clement's had a very, very similar honeymoon period to what Michael Beale had, to what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had, although Chies had far more substance because of the European run and then backing up with qualifying for the Champions League via playoff rounds, which we've always found notoriously hard. He had a wee bit of substance with us that he could back it up. But really, these initial 20-game spells happen when a new manager comes in at Rangers. They get that bounce. And then this happens. And then this is the reality. And then before you know it, they start wanting change and chomping the bit to get the manager out and a new one in, and they'll probably be wanting Alex Rae to. What I watched tonight, do I take confidence from it from that point of view? Absolutely. Because I think, how much faith do I have? Celtic will win all 5 of their games. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Celtic, you could hang your hat on winning all 5 of their games. I think that might be something a lot of you don't have all that much faith in. But notwithstanding that, with that 3-point cushion, that allows the drop points and maybe one of those that you could afford to, not because we're advocating it, but because it could potentially happen. But who's got faith they'll win their games? Who's got faith they'll come to Celtic Park and take 3 points? And even if they do, that might not be enough now, such as the goal difference that we fancy ourselves to be able to maintain, if not extend. That would be interesting. And not that we want it again, but I've got no faith they'll be able to go on that run that's required to go win the league. They're rattled. We've seen it tonight. Celtic, for their one half good, one half sort of weird sort of form that they're on, tend to be getting the job done, though, when it matters. And, you know, I look at the Livingston display, 3-0, one half good, one half shite. We look at the weekend just being one half good, one half shite, 3-0 win. Celtic have got that in them, and they've got their best players coming back and all getting to full fitness for this running. Guys that have been there, seen it, done it. Guys that are associated with winning league titles. And they've, you know, you watch that tonight, and you can't say you feel the same. I'll take a couple of questions before we go. It's 362 live. You naughty bastards. Naughty bastards. All out for the wind-up. I love that. Let's see if we've got any points coming in. Stephen Kennedy, he thinks we could possibly drop points, but they will drop more points than us. Yep, kind of just what I'm saying there as well, Stephen, mate. I totally understand that point of view. Let's have a look. Pato, the dark should collapse. Does not make the naked emperor a better manager. Jeez, oh mate. Had they won the last 2 matches as we expected, we'd be 2 points behind. And tonight shows it shouldn't even be close. Well, I guess in the naked emperor, what you'll be referring to is Brendan. I mean, I hear what you're saying, mate, but there's no point in had they won the 2 matches as expected. I didn't expect them to win their last 2 games, Pato. So you can only speak for yourself, I suppose, with that one, mate, because to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't expect them to win the 2 games. I kind of predicted they would drop points in it, and I think there must be more. I think there must be more than just me who fancy them to drop points, and that's kind of what a winning the league title is all about, the full 38 games. And if you can get a better record than your rivals over 38 games, you win the league. And if Brendan does that again this season, I'm happy with that. And I think there is a far stronger challenge in terms of Rangers at the very least this time around than there was his first time around. He's overcome it. 2 wins from 3 against them and a draw. 2 of those away from home. And a 3-point gap with this amount of games to go. I think a window he wasn't backed in and he has to take criticism himself for. I think a season where we've seen fans banned. All these factors all play a part. Injuries to key players, which can happen as well. These are all, you know, run-of-the-mill stuff, I suppose. But when it's right key players, I think we have to look at this and go, well, he's overcome the obstacles in front of him if he can get this over the line, which I think he will. So I'm not going to be as quite critical as that. And there's no point in thinking about whether Rangers had won 2 games that, guess what? They fucking didn't. They lost and they drew. They've took 1 point from the last 2. They've won 2 from the last 8. And that is it at the end of the day. That is, in the cold light of day, the facts. And that's what we need to be like. Chris M comes in. He says, the cynicism in here is due to the pendulum nature of the season. But get behind the team. Some positive energy and it won't swing again. I don't see it swinging again. I think Celtic have had their fight, and I think now it's a case of moving on, moving away. I made a wee prediction on the Sunday sesh. Celtic, just the typical sort of, you know, sort of fairy tale stuff and writing your own story and all these things. Could Celtic end up winning the league by the same 8-point gap they threw away? Nothing would surprise you. The Celtic charge is on now, says Jerry Lappin, and I love that. I love that attitude, mate. Anyway, 25 minutes, that's more than enough. There's 400 of you on. I can't thank you enough for jumping on the bus for this wee brief show. It has been another fun night. There's fear, there's panic growing across the city. Can you see them? See you later. 3 points is the gap. Big games to come. 3 of those at Celtic Park. 1 of them against the rivals. They've got 3 away from home. one of those away games against their rivals. The only question I ask Rangers right now is, can you hang? We'll find out. See you later.